Namaste. I'm Samir, your tour guide, storyteller. Today I'm taking you to Chittaurgarh. To enter inside of the fort, there are several gates are there, 7 gates altogether, and these are the different entry gates which you are able to see. Very strong and massive gates which were done for the fortification purpose of the fort, for the protection from the enemy's army, because this fort has been attacked many times by the attackers in the different period of the time. But there are the 3 important C's of the fort has been done. Here is the entrance ticket counter, and that you can see that is the map of the fort, the largest fort in India. Here I am at the Kumbhas Palace, one of the foremost building which you will find into the fort, and that is the Kumbhas Palace. Maharana Kumbha, the king. Maharana Kumbha was the king in 15th century of Mewar kingdom, and Chittaurgarh serves as a capital of them. Later on, Kumbhalgarh and then Udaipur was the kingdom of them. Chittaurgarh is not too far from Udaipur, the city of lakes. It's hardly 120 kilometers from Udaipur. The palace of Kumbha is having magnificent architecture and the beautiful buildings which has been turned nearly into the ruins, but still the remains are reminding us about the large hall of public audience, ladies' quarter which were known as the Jananas, because they were the Hindu kings, so they were calling it Jananas. And then there used to be the separate quarter or the separate palace for the prince, which they called Kumbhas Palace. The building, although not much more in a good condition, but can glorify its past, that how it was into the olden days. Second important building into the fort complex is the Rani Padmani's palace. Although by looking at the style of architecture and the building's structure, you can see that it is much more modern. I think it has been restored, renovated in the 19th century. Rani Padmani, the one who is much more famous among the people of India. To understand Rani Padmani, we have to go long back into the history of India and the Sultanate period, when the kingdom was Delhi, and the ruler, the Sultan of Delhi, was Alauddin Khalji, who got the news and the information that the queen of Chittor, Rani Padmani, is one of the most beautiful, dashing personality of that time, and that's the reason people do say that he wanted to capture the Chittor kingdom from the hand of the king of Chittor. And that is the reason he put a siege in 1303, and that was about 8 months long siege. You can imagine that how strong is the fort and its fortification, that for the 8 months they stopped the Sultan of Delhi. Finally, when Sultan got the victory into that battle, then Rani Padmani, with more than thousands of the ladies of royal family, they put themselves on the pyre and did the supreme sacrifice. It is called Johar. Inside the fort, after these 2 beautiful as well as the amazing structures, there are other palaces, other temples, there are 2 main temples in this complex. One is of the faith of the Jain religion people, and then there is the Hindu religion temples are there. Altogether, people do say that there are about 108 temples, and there are about 84 water bodies, water reservoirs are there. Here I am at one of the Jain temple, the temple which has been dedicated to the Adinath, the first teacher, the spiritual guide of Jains. And then there is, very next to this temple is the Tower of Fame, 12th century monument, which is about 22 meter high, and at the base level it is 9.1 meter in the circumference. You can see the amazing architecture on them, the sculptures, the beauty which you can see in the style. There are animal features, then there are the features of the god and goddesses, the domains, incomparable beauty. Here I am at the eastern side of the fort, which is called Sun Gate. The horses there and the steps, the people are moving inside of this. You can find the spikes on the big doors because of the fortification purpose. And now I am moving towards some of the Hindu temples which are dedicated to several god and goddesses. One thing which you will find in all the temples, that there is a lot of dismantled structure are there. Then you will find a lot of defacing beautiful sculptures, carvings. All the construction has been done into the local stone, and this is the Adbhutnath temple, one of the form of the Lord Shiva, one of the prime god of Hindus. It is so astonishing architecture that even myself has done visit of many of the temples and many palaces, but this is something unique. You can say that it is a complete temple, but without dome. And these things, these destructions has not done by the nature, it has been done by the invaders. It is written in the history of the Sultanate period when Alauddin Khalji got the victory. Then he ordered a mass massacre, and about 30,000 Hindu religion and the Jain religion followers, they were cut like the dried grass. So to remember all those people, there are several temples has been built even later on also. That is the wall, the fortification of this fort, massive structures. You can find sometime the monkeys also, and people as a concern of charity, they do feed all these people. And I am here at the Fateh Haveli, a great warrior. This chapter of the history is related to the siege of this fort in 1567 during the time of Mughal Emperor Akbar. Jamal or Fateh, two great and young warriors, sacrificed their life to protect this particular fort from the hand of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Beautiful water reservoir in front of the Fateh's Haveli is there, the sources of the water supply. And later on, now I'm taking you to the Kumbhaswamy temple, that is called Varaha temple, or even dedicated to one of the Hindu god called Vishnu. This temple building has been restored, renovated in 15th century by Maharana Kumbha. Style of architecture of this temple is the North Indian style of architecture, the temple's architecture, that is called Nagra style architecture, in which they do have a sanctum, that is the statue of Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. So in the temple, the beautiful arches are there, then there is a sanctum, then mandapa, and one open circumambulation path is there in this temple. Inside of the temple, there is the beautiful domes are there. This temple got massive damage during the time of siege and the attack of Alauddin Khalji. Later on, the siege which was done in 1535 by Bahadur Shah of Malwa kingdom, and then the third one was in 1567, but the massive attack that was 1303, and that's how it got a big damage. So Maharana Kumbha did the restoration work later on, that is Kumbhas Palace is visible from this temple areas. Beautiful view, beautiful arches, beautiful spires of the temples, and amazing craftsmanship. All the construction has been done with the help of the local stone. And next to the Varaha temple is the Mirabai's temple. Mirabai, who was belonging from the Mewar royal family, and she is the symbol of devotion. Here is the Mirabai, and that's the god Krishna. So Mirabai was a devotee of Lord Krishna, and throughout of her life she did so many work related to the devotion or the prayer to Lord Krishna, sang a lot of devotional songs which are even nowadays also popular throughout India as called Mirabai's song. And here the Tower of Victory. Qutub Minar in Delhi may be taller, but the decoration on Victory Tower in Chittaurgarh is far more elegant. The structure is 37 meter high and it was dedicated as the victory of Maharana Kumbha, our Sultan of Malwa, and that is 15th century construction, a 9-story tower, and on the base level 14.5 meter is the circumference of this beautiful tower. A magnificent view can be captured from the top of this tower, but now it has been closed to the visitor. It's not allowed to go inside of the tower, but it is something unique. You can enjoy the morning as well as even the evening also in this sport complex, and can spend hours and hours to see the beauty of this beautiful Victory Tower. And then here you can find many ruins other which are giving us information and reminding us about the attacks which has happened on this fort many times. Now the question arises that why so many attacks happened on this Chittaurgarh? The very clever answer for this is Chittaur was nearly in the center of the north and the south for the Delhi Sultanate people. So taking the control of the Chittaur was like taking the control of complete route or the trade route which was happening from the north towards the coastal area of Gujarat. So all the caravans used to pass from these areas and or the nearby areas of Chittaur. So if it is controlled, means the Chittaur is controlled, then there is so much is controlled, and that is the reason that every sultanate and later on the Mughal, they tried to control the Chittaurgarh. Here the water reservoir as well as there is a beautiful temple. It is called Gomukund, and a temple is there dedicated to one of the famous saint of the time, and even Lord Shiva. And then there is a cow's mouth is there, as the water is coming out from that cow's mouth, and the priest is doing the prayer over there. Incense sticks, and then the temple bells are there, the morning ritual as he is performing in this temple. The beauty of this fort that there are so many water reservoirs are there, and that is the reason that even after the siege of 7 to 8 months of the time, the people inside of the fort were able to survive. That is the water point. Some statues, images of gods and goddesses are there, and people do come and they do offer their prayer. Here are some of the centopas of all those warriors who time to time sacrificed their life in defense of this amazing massive fort. And that's the view which you can see of the Victory Tower. This is the best view point of fort, although it is not that much easy to capture the complete fort in one click, or there is no point from where you can click the complete fort at all, as the area of the fort is about 700 acres of the land and the circumference goes about 13 kilometers. So you can imagine that it's not much easy to even complete the fort in the visit in one time. You need a complete full day to explore and to enjoy the beauty of this fort. Here are some of the traditional dresses are there. The people who do visit this fort, they would like to capture the photos in the traditional outfits, then it is available at here. The fort premises is having particularly the facilities are available in terms of the toilets. Although as per the Western standards there can be some issues related to the hygiene, but up to the COVID or the pandemic time they are giving really much more care about the hygiene and cleanliness. Here are the auto stands, the tuk-tuk stand, and even the lemon water, the lemonade is available in most of the famous points of this fort, because temperature really do increase during the daytime, so it is better to drink some water, and if it is lemon then it is really very good to keep your body hydrated. So one part of the fort complex we have done, in which we did the visit of Maharana Kumbhas Palace, Rani Padmani's palace, and then there were several Hindu and the Jain temples, Tower of Fame, Tower of Victory, and much more. Most of the time when the traveler do come to visit this massive fort, they do miss the another part of this fort complex, and that is situated in the very much in the other section of this fort. In the evening time they do have a light and sound show, so this is the ticket window for the light and sound show. And that's the outer part of the Maharana Kumbhas Palace, which you are able to see it here. And now I am walking towards the Maharana Ratan Singh second palace, which is once you do enter inside of the fort complex from the ram pole, then it is at the left where we are going now. So it is the Rana Ratan Singh's palace, 16th century of the complex, beautiful temples, and then there is a nice lake or a water reservoir in the foothill of this particular palace is there. This is nearly out of the reach of most of the traveler. They hardly do come at here because the other part do take a lot of time, and that's how this part is missed in most of the visit of the fort. But in the next visit don't miss this particular part, because there is beautiful and splendid view of the city you can capture from here, and even the others also. So style of architecture is a mixed style of architecture, which is having some of the mix of the Mughal also in it, but most of the style is the Hindu style of architecture, and the construction has been carried out with the help of the local sandstone and the lime mortar. The arches are Islamic, as you can see, and then here the Hindu way, the waterways are there inside of the palace. Then there are hall of public audience is there, that is the lake which is in the foothill of this, and the beautiful arches which are like the peacock is having a dance, so open peacock feathers. And then the other side of the fort, which is visible from this particular palace, Ratan Singh II's palace, brick by brick kind of the construction, as you can see. So it is stone by stone construction, and although all the parts of the palace are not in a good condition, but the ruins are also very much in a condition to attract most of the traveler, and it is really a great point of the photography. If you are really loving to have the photos, then this is a perfect site from where you can capture the view of Chittaurgarh city, as well as even some splendid photograph. And the people who do love the photography, they should visit this particular part of the fort complex. This way we have done the visit of this magnificent massive fort of Chittaurgarh, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2013. This is the land of bravery, sacrifices, pride, devotion, history of terrific battles, Johar. I can say that it is a must-visit destination throughout India.